Hey everybody, this is Gabe Hernandez with Comical Opinions, putting together a quick video to talk about an announcement that came out today from Boom Studios about BRZRKR, which is the new comic series in conjunction with Keanu Reeves, Matt Kent, and Ron Garney. This is the Kickstarter is a little bit of a different Kickstarter than you would expect to see from an indie comics creation. The book itself is funded by Boom Studios. It'll come out in monthly floppies, just like any other comic book that Boom would normally produce, but they've created this Kickstarter to do something a little bit different. That difference is kind of, I think, generated some confusion, and it's maybe generated some unhappy feelings. So we're here to talk about it and give you my opinion, and hopefully come up with some interesting things to consider for future. But before we get started, please, if you haven't already, go to the Comical Opinions newsletter, sign up. It's absolutely free, and when we get to enough subscriptions, I'm going to put together some cool perks that are subscriber-only type perks that you'll definitely want to get in on. My latest newsletter, which just came out on Sunday, is talking about the importance of comics editors, where things can go very right, and more importantly, I think, where they can go very, very wrong. So check it out. It's completely free. The link is down in the description. So let's get started and talk about today's video. So a while back, Boom Studios announced that they were doing a comic with Keanu Reeves called BRZRKR. All the vowels are taken out, just to kind of give it a little bit of a funny tag. And the story is effectively about a sort of semi-immortal demigod who, over the course of centuries, has just been basically a killing machine, and come to modern times, and he's come to work for the government, and you know, hijinks ensue. It looks interesting, looks fun. It's Keanu Reeves, so he's definitely got some pedigree for knowing what goes into a good action film. No doubt about it there. And it was met with the original announcement was met with much fanfare. Everybody's like, "Oh, cool, that's interesting," and that's fine. And it's a Boom Studios book, so you can expect to see it in the comic book shelves sometime in the near future. So what changed? What's different? Well, today they announced that they're doing a Kickstarter for the book. And you say, "Oh, wait a minute. If Boom Studios is already producing the book, why do you need a Kickstarter?" It's not that simple. They are doing the monthly floppies. They will be in your local comic book shop. They will be in retailers. The Kickstarter is not for the regular comic book. What they're doing is they're creating a Kickstarter to get the hardcover collection series with all the premium uplifts and side pieces and all the additional perks and everything that you can think of that are above and beyond the normal monthly floppy. So according to Ross Ritchie, who's CEO and founder of Boom, many companies use Kickstarter to fund their projects. We are not doing this. Remember, they're not funding the comic through Kickstarter. We are working with Kickstarter as a distribution platform to expand our reach. It's our dream here at Boom Studios to introduce new readers to the medium of comic books and graphic novels by combining the reach of Kickstarter with the interest in Keanu Reeves and the action-packed epic that is BRZRKR. Hopefully I'm saying that right. We're excited to introduce so many folks to their very first comic book. Now, what is included in the Kickstarter? Here's the short synopsis. Fans will have an opportunity to pre-order all 3 graphic novel collections of the new series in regular, limited edition, and ultra-rare premium formats through October 1st. The collections offered through Kickstarter will begin shipping alongside the book market release of BRZRKR Volume 1 in 2020, with the subsequent volumes shipping at the same time as the book market counterparts. I'm not sure that's worded right. Anyway, unless otherwise noted for later delivery. Okay, so they're not talking about shipping the regular comic book. They're talking about shipping the graphic novel collections, which are basically the trades. If we go over to the Kickstarter campaign, and there's a link, if you're interested, there's a link down to the Kickstarter campaign down in the description as well. It's not an affiliate link. I'm not getting anything off of that. I'm just putting it down there for completeness. And if we go down, scroll down, you can see some of the art, and tells you a little bit about the story. Here's the timeline, and here's the part that I think sets the difference. BRZRKR will be released in 12 comic book chapters and collected in 3 beautiful graphic novel volumes, each containing 4 comic book chapters or the issues. Each graphic novel is 7 by 10, 128 full color books. Through this Kickstarter, we are offering the opportunity to pre-order all 3 graphic novels. Now remember, again, Boom is still producing the comic. Boom is still putting the comic in comic book shops. The Kickstarter is just for the graphic novel collections, which are basically the trades, and shipping it directly to your home. So essentially, you're paying a premium price for a premium version of the product, and they're using Kickstarter to do it. So folks that don't go to a comic book shop or may not have even known this was available because they're not comic collectors, if they go to Kickstarter, they might see this. And the idea is Kickstarter has a wider distribution base than you would for any local comic book shop. And this also gives Boom the opportunity to see, well, are we going to print tens, hundreds, thousands of collections in premium format if nobody's going to buy them? So this way, it gives them the opportunity to pre-fund those trade collections and ensure that they're making enough to meet the demand. It's actually kind of smart, because what that does is it puts Boom in the position to not have to take all the risk of pre-printing and assuming that the graphic novels will all be sold. And in this case, they can basically print to the demand of what people actually want on Kickstarter. Plus, because Kickstarter has a much broader audience, a lot more people see it, you have more people that would normally see this offer available than they would if you just rely on people that just go to a local comic book shop on a weekly basis, which is a much smaller population when you think about it honestly. So that's the story there. So again, Boom is funding the comic book. They're still making the comic book. And technically speaking, they're still making the graphic novels as well, the trade collections. The difference is the trade collection part is what they're funding through Kickstarter to ensure that more people see it, more people have an opportunity to buy it, and they can ensure that they're being more, I would say, efficient with their costs, because they will only print to the demand from people that are purchasing it through Kickstarter, rather than taking a risk and printing out a bunch of graphic novel collections and maybe people just don't want to buy it because they aren't even aware of it, as an example. Kind of smart, and I think it's a good business model. So that's the explanation. That hopefully clarifies what's going on there between Boom, Kickstarter, and everything else that's going on. So then the secondary question is, some smaller indie creators, not a lot, not all of them, but some are upset about this. And the question is, well, why? I mean, doesn't this give Kickstarter more money? Doesn't this increase the visibility of comics to people who might otherwise not know about it or see them or what have you? And the problem is, the people that are upset about it, typically, from what I'm seeing online, especially on Twitter, which happens to be the place where grievances are aired on a regular basis, is people are upset because they believe what's happening is, if somebody has X amount of dollars in their pocket, they go to Kickstarter, they see this book and they're like, oh, cool, Keanu Reeves, BRZRKR, this looks awesome. They spend all the money they have in their pocket on that book. And then the smaller indie creators that are scrimping and saving, and by the skin of their teeth, they get their own indie personal project out, and that customer is not going to have any money left for them. And so the intent of that hard feeling, if you will, is that a publisher with a big name Hollywood star essentially is sucking all the money and all the oxygen out of the Kickstarter pool of potential purchasers and taking money away from them. I'm not trying to discount anyone's feelings when I say that, or when I describe it that way, as it's been described to me. What I will say is that's a zero-sum game mentality. It's a scarcity mindset. Because what that does is that assumes that people who show up to Kickstarter, if they wanted your book, but they see Keanu's and assume and just make an assumption out of hand that it's a better book, they're not going to buy your book and they're going to buy theirs. Does that happen? Sure. How much? I don't know. But the problem that they're not taking into account is, number one, sometimes people may not be interested in Keanu's book. And they might be really, really interested in the smaller indie creator's book because of the subject matter, because of the art, for any number of reasons. So that just assumes that everyone, just because it's Keanu, just because it's a cool book, that they automatically spend money on that, and they're not going to have any money left for anybody else. That's probably not a good blanket assumption, because the book, from what I can see and what I can tell, is going to appeal to a very specific audience. It's going to appeal very much to somebody who's really into sort of action movie, action adventure type clientele, but people who really like that style of entertainment. That's not for everybody. So number one, that's not one person who buys one kind of book is not necessarily going to buy the other kind of book. The other problem is assuming that somebody who just has a certain amount of dollars would only ever spend it on that book and may not come back to your book later. That's maybe they're just not going to buy it now. Let's say, well, I have $50 now and I'm going to spend it on Keanu's book. They might come back later and spend it on your book, hopefully we're still within the campaign time window. So just because they're spending money on it now doesn't mean they won't spend the money on you later. That's number two. And number three, to be blunt, I'm not trying to be mean, but to be blunt, maybe this book looks better than yours. That's maybe not what everybody wants to hear, but it could be the truth. Maybe they just think this looks better than your book. If that's the case, that's kind of the whole mentality and the whole mindset of market competition. And it's not going to be a capitalism good or capitalism bad type of thing, but it's when you have two products. If one product looks better than the other product, well, where do I want to spend my money? I'm going to spend the money on the product that I think looks better. That's market competition. Just because you move to Kickstarter and you're an indie creator doesn't mean you're free from market competition. You're always under market competition whenever you're asking for people's money. Always. That never goes away, ever. And that's not like capitalism bad or anything like that, but that's just the way the exchange of value works. I spend my money with whoever's got the product that I think looks the best. And now, again, I might not have more than $50, so maybe I'll buy both. Or maybe I'll just spend it on BRZRKR now and I'll spend it on your book later. Or maybe when I see the two side by side, kind of looks better. In which case, then you have, not to be blunt about it, but maybe you just need to get a little incentive to up your game and recognize that there's always going to be competition. And in this case, maybe that competition is just a little bit stronger. In that case, then maybe the answer is you just got to step it up. So I'm going to continue to looking at some of the responses that I see, particularly on Twitter, a little bit on Facebook, but mostly on Twitter. Folks kind of getting bent out of shape about this, and to say money is not a zero-sum game, especially on platforms like Kickstarter and Indiegogo and what have you. There's always going to be money flowing. If you want a piece of that, that doesn't mean that you have to take it away from somebody else. That's sort of a scarcity mindset. You could argue it's a little bit of a socialist mindset, but that's maybe a different conversation for another day. And B, if the other person is putting out what looks like a better book or a better quality book or a nicer looking book or whatever the story may be, or a book that appeals more, then maybe you need to think about how you increase the appeal of your book, how you increase the saleability and the value that you think a customer would get out of it. Maybe we need to adjust the prices. Maybe you need to add more perks. Maybe you need to kind of hit them with the marketing a little bit better. Any number of different reasons for that. But absolutely, when it comes to platforms that do campaigns like this, when it comes to sales in general, money is not a zero-sum game. Just because somebody else gets it doesn't mean there isn't any left for you. It doesn't work that way. Plus, this is also going to be good for Kickstarter because they're going to get their cut. And Lord knows, if you've been following the news, Kickstarter's had a lot of financial troubles this year. COVID hit, some of their weird antics with canceling certain campaigns because, quote unquote, they weren't by good people or the right people, I should say. That's a whole other conversation as well. So just kind of wanted to give a little bit of an opinion on this. Again, Boom is still making the regular comic. The Kickstarter is just for the premium collection stuff. It's a smart move by Boom. It's a good move for Kickstarter. And money is not a zero-sum game. If you have another campaign out there and you're competing, competition never goes away in any market, ever. Just consider that, making sure you're marketing to the people who would like your book better than that one, making sure your book is the best it can be to compete, and always think about what you can be doing more or better. That's just the way of things. And hopefully, if you've got a book and you think that you're going to lose customers to this, really consider how you can make it better. It can be done. I believe in you. If you're a creator, and I believe in you, this is not somehow robbing you of your livelihood. You can compete with this. I believe it. down in my gut. So that's my opinion for today. Just hopefully that kind of dispels some of the back and forth that's going on with this announcement by Boom releasing Berserker on Kickstarter. And let me know what you think. Am I just being too critical? Am I being too harsh? Or am I right on the money? Let me know down in the comments section. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. And if you think I'm completely off my rocker, give me that thumbs down. Give me that harsh, critical comment. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear all about it. And before I go, don't forget, please, again, subscribe to Comical Opinions. The link is down in the description. And the latest newsletter about the importance of comics editors and how they can, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, they can actually kill a comic book. And let me know what you think about that one as well. Please subscribe. It's absolutely free. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hit the notification button. I try to do a video every day of the business week, 5 days a week. And thank you for stopping by. I appreciate your time. Have a great day. This is Gabe Hernandez for Comical Opinions.